It's midday. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to JoyNews Today. We're live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125, across all our social media handles. We've got JoyNews on TV. Coming up, minority fights government for deploying the military to border towns to enforce ban on grain exports. We have details as the NDC MPs allege the deployment of the military forms part of efforts to undermine the upcoming 2024 general elections. Also in this bulletin, President Akufo-Addo optimistic of a credible electoral process as Ghana gets ready for another major election. We'll hear from some stakeholders in this bulletin. And later, Locked Up Investment Holders Forum asks Finance Ministry to include its members in the payment plan for the release of 700 million cedis to depositors affected in the banking sector cleanup. These plus business news, sports and showbiz within the next 60 minutes. My name is Faustina Sapo. Please be my guest. Thanks for choosing us for your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Now we start from Parliament, where the minority is asking government to rescind its decision to deploy the military to enforce a ban on the exportation of grains. Government, we know, last week announced a ban on the exportation of grains following the dry spell in the northern parts of the country and deployed soldiers to enforce this ban. Addressing journalists in Parliament, minority spokesperson on the Defence and Interior Committee, James Agaga, said it is not the duty of the military to police Ghana's borders, and the military is only used as a means of last resort.
The decision by the Akufo-Addo-led government to deploy the military to border towns across the country to supposedly enforce the government's ban on the exportation of grain from the country in the wake of the reported drought-induced crop failures in the northern part of the country. The minority takes note of the rollout of measures by the government to address the potentially devastating impact of the dry spell on food security in our country, the deployment of the military to our borders to ostensibly perform the task of the enforcement of a ban on the exportation of grain raises several questions and suspicions. First, neither the Minister for Food and Agriculture nor the Minister for Defense, who announced the ban and deployment of the military, adduced any evidence to establish the inability of our immigration and customs services to enforce the prohibition in question to warrant the military's involvement. The Immigration Service is statutorily empowered to manage and patrol the country's borders as a first line of defense. The Customs Service, on the other hand, complements the Immigration Service in the exercise of its preventive functions along our borders. Consequently, any attempt to deploy the military when there is no evidence to show that the Immigration and Customs Services will be overwhelmed in the enforcement of the ban on the exportation of grain heightens our suspicions. Indeed, the minority recalls that in the run-up to the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections, the Akufo-Addo government heavily deployed the country's military, particularly in the Volta and Noti regions, as part of a carefully orchestrated strategy that scared eligible voters from exercising their franchise. The pretext for the massive deployment was the alleged secessionist threat posed by what has now been established as phantom groups. Interestingly, once the elections were over, the secessionist threat suddenly evaporated. Let me take that again. Interestingly, once the elections were over, the secessionist threat suddenly evaporated. Subsequently, the Akufo-Addo government ordered the military to return to barracks. Such is the political chicanery of the government we are dealing with. So Ghanaians have reason to take the recent announcement with a pinch of salt. The Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Brian Achampon, who made the border closure announcement, is the very person who has declared time and again to do everything to wreck the chances of the NDC to win the December 7th, 2024 elections. His reckless and incendiary statements have attracted widespread condemnation and exposed him as the arrowhead of the MPP gang working to undermine free and fair elections and thus destabilize our dear country. Honorable Brian Achampon will stop at nothing to execute the dastardly plot hatched by the government, which he brazenly accepts.
We are your election headquarters, and it is 99 days before the December 7 election, and President Akufo-Addo is optimistic of a credible electoral process as Ghana gets ready for another major election. He believes the will of the electorate will override the interests of desperate politicians and political parties. He has pledged to leave his position in the same peaceful manner he took office, disputing allegations of possible rigging by the government and the MPP. Atta Akyea was at the 13th Biennial Conference of the Methodist Church where the president spoke and has filed the following report.
In about 100 days to the 2024 general election, calls for peaceful election has been re-emphasized by many. Presiding Bishop of the Methodist Church, Reverend Dr. Paul Boafo, laid some emphasis on the need for all political actors to play their roles for a transparent and peaceful elections.
My humble advice is that the electorate must be resolute to elect those who will address the needs of Ghanaians. Let us do away with selfish candidates who will only be interested in their well-being.
In an address, President Akufo-Addo emphasized his obligation to ensure a peaceful and transparent election. He counts on the security agencies to play their role in ensuring the fruition of the objective.
It is the free will of the Ghanaian people, not the will of any candidate or political party, no matter how desperate for power, that will prevail on 7th December 2024. We cherish our reputation as a beacon of democracy on the African continent, and the conduct of the forthcoming elections will reinforce this reputation. I am certain that the behavior of the Ghanaian people and their government and public authorities will put to shame all the naysayers, all the Jeremiahs, including, unfortunately, some persons of the cloth who, instead of preaching peace, are bent on raising the specter of election rigging and Kenyan-style bloodletting. They will be disappointed.
The president insisted the ruling party remains democratic with no intentions to rig the elections.
Rigging is not part of our DNA. The ingredients for our success in the 2024 elections will be the party's record in government these last 8 years and the exciting vision for Ghana's future outlined by our excellent presidential candidate, the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, whom the opposition leader is afraid to debate. I came out of a peaceful election, and I will leave in a peaceful election.
The president is calling for similar support granted him for his successor. For JoyNews, Atta Akyea, Kumasi.
Now let's take you to Kumasi, where Atta Akyea has been engaging some voters on what exactly would influence their vote in the upcoming election. Nana, I guess it's a display of mixed feelings in Osekro.
Exactly, Fosti. In the Ashanti region, different opinions are being shared with regards to what could actually be the choice of these voters when it comes to the December 7th elections. We were in the Aswase constituency earlier this morning to engage residents and voters as to regards to their perspective when it comes to what could actually lead to their choice in voting in December 7th. Well, they gave us different opinions. Some say that they are going in to vote for the NDC's candidate, John Mahama, because of the economic hardship that they are currently experiencing. Others also say that they would go in for President Akufo-Addo's successor, that is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, considering some achievements that the NPP has chalked in the past 8 years. And so when you come into the Ashanti region, these are the views of some residents that we engage. We also engage them on matters of the parliamentary elections as well. In the Aswase constituency where we were earlier, we note that the place is the stronghold of the NDC, and its incumbent member of parliament, Muntaka Mubarak, has been member of parliament since 2005. And so we asked them that if elections are being held today, are you still going to maintain Mubarak Muntaka, or you are going to go in for Manaf Ibrahim, who is the MPP's candidate for the Aswase constituency? It also drew out some different opinions from these voters, others saying that the incumbent member of parliament, Muntaka, has done enough, while others also say that, well, it is fair enough to go in for a new face, which will be the NPP's candidate, Manaf Ibrahim.
Thank you, Nana Wachi Yadum, for bringing us that update. Well, here in Accra, Papa Niashali has been interacting with some voters, and they've been sharing what exactly would influence their vote in the upcoming elections.
We are coming to you from Lejekuku constituency, arguably one of the major battlegrounds, as we have 99 days to the December 7 polls. Well, let me start from the NDC side, because they are currently in Parliament. Benjamin Ayiku represents them in Parliament.
We have the greatest opportunity to stay in power, and Honorable Benjamin Ayiku has distinguished himself very well to the people of Lejekuku, and we have no doubt in our mind that in December 7th, they will retain him as the MP of this particular constituency. He could go to Lekma Hospital, where Okoboy claims to be the deputy minister then, and working in the consultation room, detain women who had come to what? Deliver. He would go to that place.
Not necessarily detained.
Well, to put it...
They were not detained. I mean, if they couldn't afford their medical bills, that is not detaining them.
And if you can't go home, you have detained them.
But nobody's holding you there.
Yes.
You financially put yourself there.
Yes, but the issue is that Ayiku goes there and then counts the number of people who are there. And then says, okay, you are owing, and then settles all of them their bills before he became even the MP.
You think that you've done enough to... make sure that all the thousands of people that voted for the MPP last year will vote for you?
Certainly, again, we can say his contribution to the southern part of the constituency, where when you look at the Tertiary Community Hospital, he has been able to renovate the place and given it a facelift.
I like the fact that you decided to start from health, given that you also come in against somebody whose background is health. I'm pretty sure the MPP side will disagree. Let me start with Stephen. Kwabena Yensu. So, you've heard from them. The thing that you have been deputy minister, your candidate has been deputy minister, he's now the substantive minister for health. They think that they still have the upper hand over you.
All right. When it comes to health, he made an allegation that Dr. Okoboy has performed abysmally when it comes to health in the Electoral constituency. That is not so. That is not right. Now, in terms of health, this is a health minister, a medical doctor, which the Electoral constituency had, that every month, he organizes a free health screening for constituents when he was MP. Even when he lost his seat in 2020 at the Lekma Hospital, he goes there every Monday to offer free medical consultations for the people who come to him.
You think that there's more to him? That is why they retain him at the NHIM. Now he's the substantive minister for health. I'll come back to you, Stephen. So you think that you've done enough in the constituency to win the thousands of votes that went to the NDC last year?
And he was
Well, let's broaden the conversation here on JoyNews Today and bring in Atta Akyea. Join us the conversation right now. We know that the opposition National Democratic Congress has described as reckless and unfounded claims by Amoako South MP Samuel Atta Akyea, labeling its flag bearer John Mahama as a drunkard during a mini rally On August 27, 2024, Mr. Attayan made comments suggesting that Mr. Mahama was an alcoholic, sparking outrage from the NDC. The NDC's General Secretary, Fifi Atta is asking Mr. Attayan to retract and apologize. Coming up on your screen shortly are excerpts of that statement from the NDC. It was released on Thursday. We'll go on the phone lines now and speak to the Amoako South MP, Samuel Attayan, to get his response. But before that, let's give you excerpts of that statement. It says the National Democratic Congress has taken note of the unfortunate and baseless remarks made by Honorable Samuel Attayan, Member of Parliament for Amoako South constituency, during a mini rally held on the 28th of August. Attayan, in his address, made a reckless and unfounded allegation suggesting that the NDC's flag bearer, John Mahama, is a drunkard and an alcoholic. We demand an immediate retraction and an apology from Attayan for his unprovoked attack on John Mahama. They go on to threaten that failure to do so will leave the NDC with no choice but to explore all available avenues to defend the integrity and reputation of their flag bearer. Thankfully, Amoako South MP Samuel Attayan joins us here on JoyNews Today. Would you retract and apologize? That's the demand from the NDC.
For what? What am I going to retract? It doesn't even accord with common sense that you retract what you've not said. But somebody's foul imagination concerning what I said, and it's captured on video. In the video, with the greatest of respect, I never said former President John Mahama is drunkard. Where is he gleaning that meaning from the context of what I said? I don't get it. It's so illogical. I thought he has backed off his propaganda posture. And when we clashed at his appointment, at the appointment committee, when they wanted to make him a minister, and then he had to buckle on material facts because they were not the truth. And he's now elevated to the high office of General Secretary of an alternative party by the NDC. I mean, some of these things should not be part of his, doing. It's very unfortunate.
So you're disputing the claim that you even made that statement in the first place, hence you would not apologize?
The statement is video. It's not opaque. And please, if people want to pay regard to what I say, they can listen to it. And in it, there are several individuals who want to be president of Ghana. Why should Honorable Fifi single out President Mahama as the one that I'm alluding to? It doesn't accord with common sense. And I keep saying that sometimes people would want to see the whole, story. If you see the whole story, what was I talking about? I was saying that we are very blessed to have a very cultured man as an economist. And Ghana has never had an economist as president. What is the bonus is that the man is very disciplined and he doesn't drink any alcohol. And I wouldn't retract from that. These are facts. It's Vice President Mahama, Vice President Alhaji Dr. Muhammadu Buhari are not an economist. Would you say that that is false? And it's on record and it's known that he doesn't drink any alcohol. So which of them should I retract? Why can I retract when I'm stating facts? Undeniable facts. And well, I believe that the discipline he's rolled in, is a bonus for Ghana and it will inure to our benefit if he's made the president.
Well, the NDC is not the only one that has come out to condemn some of your comments. The Ghana Journalists Association has also condemned your comments, comparing an economist to a journalist. They say a journalist can rightly govern the country. What would you say to that?
That is also another pathetic thing coming from, individuals who should always understand meaning and content and context. I would never for the world of me to denigrate a journalist. I would never do that. I was saying that they are complaining about the economy of Ghana. And if that is your complaint, let's have an analogy. You have a toothache. Do you give it to a carpenter or dentist? And I'm of the humble view that if the economy is what is the complaint of NDC, then we are going to have an economist for the first time to run the affairs of the nation, first hand, not second hand. And therefore, I believe that we should give the the running of the nation to the economist rather than the journalist. Who was the journalist? Of course, we know the one who hasn't gotten expertise in the running of an economy. So I was comparing two individuals. But how can you say who of the setup of
would you apologize at least to the Ghana Journalists Association for making that comparison, since you dispute the claims the NDC is making?
Well, I do not see how I should apologize when they've taken me out of context. So they are bastardizing the first principle of journalism, that a screaming headline might not be equal to the context. If you listen to what happened when we were launching our manifesto, and I was being interviewed by Joy FM, there was nothing derogatory about the profession called journalism at all. I never did that. For the world of me, how would I rubbish journalism? But when somebody's making a sound comparison and it's taken out of context, somebody wants a screaming headline so that people read a story, and there is a disconnect between the headline and the content. And I should apologize for somebody's journalistic style. It's unfortunate. The Ghana Journalists Association, the president, is acutely aware that it is sometimes the style of individual to just twist a story by the headline. But when you read the content of what is said, it's embarrassing. Those catchy headlines might not be what the person actually wanted to communicate. But that is how some journalists want to work. And I don't want to run commentary on that.
Thank you for joining us here on JoyNews Today. We've been speaking to Atta Akyea, and he's been responding to the NDC and the DJ. He says he will not apologize nor retract because he has been taken out of context. Now, meanwhile, the Deputy Commissioner at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Bosman Asare, has been responding to the controversy surrounding the voters' register. He spoke earlier on the AM show.
In 2020, the Electoral Commission did well, to the extent that observers from the international community, the EU, African Union, ECOWAS, etc., they gave the Commission almost 95%. And as an institution, we even want to do better than what we've done in the past. That's why we've been hammering that the problems we've identified in this exhibition exercise, they are the sort of problems we're anticipating. We go back to the drawing board. We have almost some few weeks. We are going to ensure that all these things are corrected. So the example you gave, it was important the person went to the polling station to identify that. And my colleague was mentioning the law anticipates that some of these skirmishes will happen. That's why, although you registered in 2020, you voted in 2020, the law still requires a check and ensure that your name is there. And as an institution, as Mr. Jansen pointed out, we want to be sure that anyone who is a registered voter, your name is in the register. You know what happened in 2020? When we go through the process, we noticed that there were some 500 people. We couldn't identify their biometrics, but we knew their polling stations. So we sent the various names to all the polling stations. In case these people came around to go and vote, they will go through the manual verification process. And that's what we want to do. And as you were talking about inspiring confidence, when you look at our processes, when we are registering, we do with the political parties. When we are doing the exhibition, the parties are aware. Although they are allowed to send their agents there, they decide not to do that. After this process, we are going to do what we call the nominations. After the nominations, we are going to be printing the notices of poll. Dr. Tanko is aware when we are printing, all the parties are there. When we are printing the ballots, all the parties are there. When we are transporting the ballots, all the parties are there, including security.
Well, let's do some election-related stories still. Delegates of the Convention People's Party will on the 4th of September go to the polls to elect a flag bearer for the 2024 presidential election. The date was announced by the party's National Executive Council after approving 2 aspirants to contest. There's more in the following report.
Past chairperson of the party, Nana Akosia Frimpong Sapong Kumankuma, and private legal practitioner Frimpong Yao Anoche have only 7 days to convince delegates on why they should be given the chance to lead the CPP in the upcoming presidential election. Secretary to the CPP Congress Committee, Eben Agbenya, says the National Executive Council is ensuring no member of the party resorts to the courts on any matter. The party is pursuing united front to come out of its conflict. He says the election is going to be decentralized to rejuvenate the base of the party within the 16 regions. Meanwhile, Nana Akosia Frimpong Sapong Kumankuma is confident of beating her competitor in a presidential primary.
And 4 to 3 months. 3 months is a lot of time. It's a lot of time. I don't have to say much, but I'll still go and meet them. I'm leaving here, going around to meet the delegates before I get back to Accra. 5-6 days, we'll meet them. But when I meet them, I'm just going to tell them, my competitor is an orator. He's very good. Me personally, I like him. But the truth of the matter is that where we are as a nation, we need to make history. Narration of history is good. But making history is most important. And Nana Frimpong is going to make history.
Mr. Frimpong Yao Anoche also believes the delegates will give him the nod to lead the CPP in the 2024 election.
All those who would vote come the first week in September would adjust themselves to the thinking of the 33 million people of Ghana, that this is the most trending person in Ghana. And I don't think the 33 million people of this country are making a mistake, that they just take whatever I say. And I can assure you, nobody has ever come out to challenge the law, the history, and all the things that I do on air. So CPP would have to buy into the idea and help me. And the advantage for them is that having them endorse me, for the first time, they will see the CPP winning this election or effectively sending the election to a runoff. And I won't say I will be third on the paper. No, I will be second on the paper. So that the MPP or NDC, whichever becomes third, would support me. Then there will be a revolution in the country. On the other hand, if they want those who would go and collect money from a certain big party somewhere, because that party is very apprehensive of Anoche coming to take power from them, they should vote for that person. And then CPP will continue to record zeros at the polling station.
Joseph Obains reports for Joy News.
Well, let's put all this into perspective when we speak to Professor Michael Ayamga. He's a development economist, West Africa Center for Development for Sustainable Rural Transformation. Thank you for your time here on GN today. Now, we've been hearing from the Electoral Commission earlier. They have been talking about the upcoming elections, and they say they are ready, they are prepared. You've heard from both the NDC and the NPP as an economist. What's your thoughts about what should influence the voter moving forward?
Yeah, thank you and good afternoon. I think it's already been determined. If you gauge the mood and the temperature across the country, you realize that the economy is number one issue here. Jobs, food insecurity, especially in the rural parts, and largely the inability of workers to put food on the table. There's been very significant income erosion, largely due to the instability of the CV and our taste for foreign imported goods and food. So that has largely meant that people have suffered significant erosion in income, and they are expecting the next government to be more concerned about the bread and butter issues and to do things to ensure that at least they can put body and soul together. So if you ask young people, they are particularly worried about getting more sustainable jobs. Even if you visit those who have been fortunate enough to have been onboarded in the youth employment program and other things that have eventually rolled out and expired, they are thinking that job creation must be of a long-term in nature, must be sustainable, and the remuneration should not be on subsistence. There is a general cry that the tendency to describe subsistence opportunities as jobs is largely not helping the youth move in terms of social mobility. So people are looking for a government that will treat job creation more seriously, treat income erosion more seriously, and focus on boosting domestic production so that at least food security can be guaranteed. So those are the things. And if you look through, you cannot say, okay, this is what is going to happen, but the mood is gradually indicative of one that is high dissatisfaction with the status quo. And you know what that means. People think that the current state of the country is not desirable. People want change. As to whether that change is a change in total leadership or a change in the style of governance is up to the electorate. But a lot of things are happening and people really want change.
In a quick breather, we'll be back with business, sports, and showbiz. Do stay tuned in.
It is time for business on JoyNews Today with me, Winston Taki. And now to our first business story. The Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has started good progress in the government's macroeconomic stability and growth agenda. He has been updating journalists on the state of the economy and new developments on some development as well across the country.
The Finance Minister at the media engagement indicated that his outfit is engaging the Securities and Exchange Commission to ensure that these monies are paid to aggrieved customers soon. Dr. Amin Adam, speaking to the media, also indicated that government fiscal consolidation program is progressing smoothly.
We had indicated in the 2024 mid-year review of fiscal policy presented in July 2024 that Cabinet had granted approval for the disbursement of an additional 1.5 billion Ghana cedis to provide relief and bailout for those whose funds have been locked up in the fund management companies. I am glad to inform you that the Ministry of Finance has processed the release for the first tranche of 700 million Ghana cedis of the additional 1.5 billion Ghana cedis for the Securities and Exchange Commission to further bail out the remaining customers whose funds were locked up, including Black Shield Fund Management Limited customers.
On infrastructure project, government says it has spent some 10 billion Ghana cedis on road infrastructure from January to June 2024.
Like many of you who ply those roads, I am very impressed with the progress of work on this critical roads infrastructure. There are many roads across the country that are being funded from the national budget. And so far, ladies and gentlemen, from January to June, we've spent 10 billion Ghana cedis on road infrastructure alone.
Also speaking at the media engagement, Agric Minister Brian A. Champon on the ban of export of grains indicated that he expects ethanol to go beyond 6 months.
We're fine. What we are talking about is state filling in a gap. Is a state filling. The private sector actors are bringing in grains all the time. And this year they will bring in more grains than even what we seek to bring as food grants. So I don't think that there will be any effect on trade being performed by Ghana. What we have is that we have to deal with a very short-term challenge, and we believe that by keeping the grains in country, we can use it to avert a major. We don't even have to import more. We're going to bring in. Yet the little that we have, we want others to come in and take out.
On food security, government says it is poised to build resilience against further shocks. For Joy Business, James Ishen.
That'll be all for business here on JoyNews Today. My name is Winston Taki. We have more news for you after this break. Stay tuned.
Let's bring sports here on JoyNews Today with me, Muftahu Nabila Abla. Black Stars head coach Otoado says that the 23 players he has assembled for the African Cup of Nations qualifiers against Angola and Niger are the players he believes will help the country secure qualification to the next tournament. Speaking at a press conference on Thursday, Otoado was asked a question about why some players, specifically the likes of Andrew Ayuta and Daniel Amate, have not been included in the squad. And he says he does not assemble players based on names.
At the moment, and for me, it's not about Ghana Premier League or French Ligue 1 or England Premier League or Bundesliga. It's about the players, and we need the best players to reach our aim to qualify for the AFCON. And that's for me the most important thing. I don't care where the player comes from. If I'm convinced, and that's it. So at the moment, these are the 23 players which I think are the best to help us in transitioning my idea of football and what I want to see and how I think we can beat Angola and Niger on the pitch. And that's why they're in. It hasn't got anything to do with which league they're playing in. And surely some leagues are maybe higher rated. If I think about the British Premier League, it's very high rated in my eyes. And if you can compete in that league, you definitely have a squad, place in our squad. But like I said, at the moment or in general, it doesn't matter to me which league a player is playing in. But if I see the performance and the performance can fit in our system, then I'll call them.
Later tonight, the European transfer window will come to a close. Where is your next player moving to? Tonight, Joy Sports will be covering every single move of your favorite club and the favorite player you've been following. So it's on Joy News and also on Joy Prime. We go live at 9 p.m. all the way up to 11 p.m. later tonight. And we'll also be bringing you every single detail and the total amount of money that's being spent by all these clubs in the European transfer window. So it's tonight on Joy Prime and also on Joy News from 9 p.m. all the way up to 11 p.m. Be a part of the show later tonight. And also on Sunday, Joy Sports will be partnering ProRide to bring you the 5th edition of that event. Emmanuel Hammond is the head of sustainability of Prudential Life Insurance, and he's been speaking to us about what to expect later this year.
It's been rewarding. We've seen the numbers grow over the years. In terms of participation, every year it just keeps going up. And that tells us that the sport is growing, interest is growing, and impact is also growing. We've been doing this for the past 6 years, and we want to promote health and fitness because we believe in the total well-being of our, not just our customers, but the whole community. And we believe in building sustainable communities. And we've done this in so many ways. Through our financial literacy programs, our COVID-19 relief fund projects that we've done for the past 2 years, our climate and health resilience fund project, which we're about to do this year, our Safe Steps road safety programs. So cycling is one way to also further promote this agenda. And cycling does not only get you fit, it also is a more environmentally friendly way to move around in the city, and we hope that in the near future people will embrace cycling. If you go to other countries, people cycle a lot, and we hope that we'll be able to do that here in Ghana. So we really have big dreams for cycling in Ghana. Yeah.
So yeah, in hoping to do that,
and be with us on Sunday as we bring you every single thing you need to know about Pro Ride 2024. You can head on to myjoyonline.com and read some more sports stories. Thanks for being a part of the show.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to the Showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline and Smart Yabwa. Now, Ghanaian reggae dancehall artist Conqueror Jah Vibes has called out on the media industry leaders to give more attention to the reggae music scene in the country. He made this appeal at the launch and listening session of his album Listening.
Ghanaian reggae dancehall artist Conqueror Jah Vibes has dismissed claims that the reggae dancehall genre in Ghana is dying out. At the launch and listening session of his latest album From Afar, Conqueror Jah Vibes called on the media and key stakeholders to shift their focus towards the genre and actively promote its talents.
When reggae dancehall had the momentum in Ghana, it was all over the place. The selectors, the producers were all over the place, like Brainy and couple of producers, but all of a sudden when the corona came, there was a little bit of shaking in the industry, so it made the whole thing kind of look like it was going down, but it's not going down. It's getting bigger because we are getting response from all over the world, and this is one of the genre that is putting Ghana on the map. You get me? And recently even Buju said something and he was saying we have to be producing music that has messages from Africa, Ghana as well, So I'm an artist that I know that this genre, he has a great future. So we keep pushing, and day in, day out, we are getting good response. So this time we just need the media to pay attention and, give us more platform for we to express ourselves and push the works out there.
Supporting this sentiment, award-winning musician Samini and veteran industry figure Daddy Bosco, who attended the event, echoed the need for greater support for reggae dancehall in Ghana.
To the media people, like my brother said earlier on, the work is done now. The rest is you guys to take it out there and let the world know. And Conqueror is a learner, so when you show him new things, he grabs it and takes it on. Like he responded to the guy and said, will you bring it on, we take it and we add what we can to it and we keep it.
Legendary gospel singer Esther Smith is urging new generation of aspiring gospel artists not to enter the industry with the sole thought of becoming famous. According to her, it takes prayer and strong faith to be recognized in the industry. The singer was speaking on Joy Prime's morning show, Prime Morning.
Gospel music is not show off. You are ministering Christ, the anointed one, to people. So when it comes to gospel music, we need to take it serious. So yeah, now who co-studio, there will be a motive behind it. No, so I can nyame the odi adom no amai. Into where nipa no, e kwanya obe faso, obe read the Bible, obe tena se ya ready. To what turn you na power be the.
That note is a wrap for the Showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline and Samaya Boa. Over to you, Faustina Safo.
Thank you, Jacqueline, for bringing us Showbiz. Now, with less than 100 days to the December election, the race to the seat of government is getting tighter, with parties aggressively racing against time to convince Ghanaians to give them the nod. However, the campaigns have not been without funny sides. Here's Prince Kwame Kuduga. He has more in this report.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has bold plans for the country, but why is he holding on to them?
I must have a manifesto, otherwise if I do everything now, if I could, what would I do when I come into office?
But John Mahama disagrees with him.
It's like Ronaldo. Ronaldo's coach says, Ronaldo score. He says, oh coach, if I score all the goals now, the next match, where will I get goal to score? That doesn't make sense at all.
But who really is running away from a debate?
I am looking forward to a debate with John Mahama on the economy, on the country, on the governance. But I'm afraid
that he's running away from a debate.
And so the person himself says he's a driver's mate. He doesn't have a license yet. So he should work and get a license first. And then after he gets a license, he can come and we'll talk. Like machine gun. The time when they become stammerers and they start stammering, you know they are lying. Somebody who can speak like AK-47. Suddenly media encounter.
Then here is Dr. Bawumia, who has been begging for the steering to drive the country.
Mumfasiano emami. Mumma mistiano. Naminchikano. Enko baby ayesieko.
Still, his best friend has a sweet message for him.
And yes, ubesu mama tisa akoda mumma mistiano and yes ani ejistiano. Stiano yenjenesa. Also called DVLA. Near called testing one sir.
Then here is John Mahama and Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Bernard Etribo-Siako, matching each other boot for boot.
Because looking for that small gold they will get, they are destroying all the forest reserves and destroying the climate in our country. So those there, get ready, start packing your things. After 7 January, if you are not out of the forest reserve, we are going to come and march you out of the forest reserve.
Mama, me want to me the obwa. Want to me mean slow. Now problem run want to me. Want to me, Mama. Some me no jira ho. Yeah. For so that for do what now.
Well, that's it for JoyNews Today. For more news, please log on to my JoyOnline.com. My name is Faustina Safam. Have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our programs.